I came across the story, I was channel surfing, and I came across the documentary on PBS, and I started watching it.
What drives a filmmaker who makes the impossible look effortless? Robert Zemeckis doesn't just direct movies, he engineers illusions. Every frame represents a calculated gamble on whether audiences will accept magic as reality. Behind those seamless special effects and perfectly calibrated performances,
I love his passion, his never say die attitude, the fact that he's such a dreamer and he pulls his dream off.
lies something more fundamental than technical wizardry. It's faith, complete faith in cinema's ability to make people believe absolutely anything. Zemeckis treats films like temporal laboratories, studying how other directors bent the rules of physics and narrative before attempting his own reality-defying experiments. 6 movies became his research materials, teaching him that the most convincing impossibilities require the most meticulous preparation. These weren't casual viewings or artistic appreciation. They were technical dissertations disguised as entertainment. From practical magic to emotional manipulation, from period detail to futuristic speculation, Zemeckis absorbed lessons that most filmmakers use for single sequences and applied them to entire careers. These masters showed him that audiences hunger for experiences that couldn't exist anywhere except on screens, but only if those experiences feel completely authentic while happening. Zemeckis discovered that the greatest special effect is making viewers forget they're watching special effects at all. Every impossible moment must feel inevitable. Every fantastic element must serve authentic human emotion. These 6 directors became his professors in the art of manufacturing believable miracles. Here are the films that taught Robert Zemeckis how to make magic feel like documentary footage, and why his obsession with technical perfection produces the most convincing impossibilities ever projected onto screens. 6. 2001, A Space Odyssey, 1968. The poetry of precision. Kubrick didn't make science fiction. He constructed a prophecy. When Zemeckis discovered 2001, he encountered something that would define his relationship with technological speculation.
The red dot of the movie. And if we can't find the red dot in the scene, then that scene generally gets cut out.
HAL 9000's calm voice announcing Dave Bowman's termination, while classical music played over starfield imagery, became Zemeckis' template for making the fantastical feel documentary real through absolute technical precision. The film's spacecraft sequences, using practical models and front projection techniques that still convince modern audiences, taught Zemeckis that believable futures require obsessive attention to plausible physics. Kubrick's collaboration with NASA consultants and aerospace engineers showed Zemeckis how research could transform wild imagination into credible speculation. Douglas Trumbull's visual effects, achieved without computer assistance through innovative optical printing and miniature photography, demonstrated how practical limitations could inspire rather than constrain creative solutions. The famous Stargate sequence, representing interdimensional travel through pure abstract imagery, influenced every Zemeckis project that needed to visualize impossible concepts. The film's minimal dialogue and extended wordless sequences taught Zemeckis how visual storytelling could carry emotional weight without traditional dramatic exposition. Hal's gradual breakdown, communicated through subtle vocal modulation and behavioral changes, showed Zemeckis how technology could become character rather than mere plot device. 5. Singin' in the Rain, 1952. The mechanics of Joy Kelly and Donen didn't make musicals. They engineered happiness. When Zemeckis encountered Singin' in the Rain, he discovered how technical perfection could serve pure emotional expression. Don Lockwood's transition from silent films to talkies, complicated by his leading lady's voice problems,
that's waiting to be upset, for we have never,
and his own romantic confusion, became Zemeckis' masterclass in using period settings to explore timeless human themes.
Sort of climax of the film, and it does become this kind of...
Gene Kelly's choreography, integrating dance numbers into narrative progression rather than stopping story for entertainment interludes, taught Zemeckis how spectacular sequences could advance character development while dazzling audiences. The famous title number, with Kelly dancing through artificial rain on a studio backlot, demonstrated how practical effects could create magical realism without breaking story logic. The film's movie-within-a-movie structure, showing Hollywood's creative process while commenting on its own artificiality, influenced every Zemeckis project that acknowledges its own construction methods. How technical craft serves emotional truth, how collaborative art-making requires individual excellence from every participant. Donald O'Connor's Make 'em Laugh sequence, featuring elaborate physical comedy and practical gags, showed Zemeckis how performers could push their bodies beyond normal limitations to achieve impossible-seeming results. The film's celebration of professional competence, where every character excels at their specialized craft, became Zemeckis' template for ensemble storytelling. Singin in the Rain's optimistic view of technological change, presenting sound recording as opportunity rather than threat, taught Zemeckis how innovation stories could focus on adaptation and growth rather than fear and resistance. The film proved that technical advancement serves human creativity rather than replacing it. 4. Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. The canvas of epic lean didn't make historical epics. He painted landscapes with human emotion.
Makes it a universal and timeless story, and by having a main character.
When Zemeckis discovered Lawrence of Arabia, he encountered his education in how massive scale could serve intimate character study. T.E. Lawrence's psychological transformation from British officer to Arab warrior became Zemeckis' understanding of how external adventure reflects internal change. Freddie Young's 70mm cinematography, capturing genuine desert locations with unprecedented clarity and scope, taught Zemeckis how technical specifications could enhance rather than distract from storytelling. The film's famous cut from Lawrence blowing out a match to the desert sunrise demonstrated how editing could compress time and space while maintaining emotional continuity. Peter O'Toole's performance, balancing Lawrence's intellectual arrogance with genuine vulnerability, showed Zemeckis how lead characters could carry epic narratives through personal charisma rather than superhuman abilities. Lawrence's gradual adoption of Arab customs and mindset influenced every Zemeckis protagonist who discovers hidden aspects of themselves through extraordinary circumstances. Maurice Jarre's orchestral score, using leitmotifs and cultural instruments to support rather than overwhelm dramatic moments, became Zemeckis' template for how music could amplify emotional impact without announcing its presence. The film's patient pacing, allowing character development to unfold naturally within spectacular action sequences, taught Zemeckis how spectacle could serve the story rather than replacing it. Lawrence of Arabia's production values, requiring years of location shooting and international collaboration, showed Zemeckis how ambitious projects demand long-term commitment to achieve their full potential. Lean proved that the most impressive technical achievements are those that feel effortless despite requiring enormous behind-the-scenes effort. 3. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, 1948. The Alchemy of Character. Huston didn't make adventure films. He performed psychological experiments. When Zemeckis discovered The Treasure of the Sierra Madre,
That dream that I have to realize the film, and I completely understand that.
he found his masterclass in how external quests reveal internal flaws. Fred C. Dobbs' transformation from desperate job seeker to paranoid murderer taught Zemeckis how environmental pressure could drive character development more effectively than traditional dramatic devices. Walter Huston's Howard, the experienced prospector who understands that survival requires maintaining humanity, became Zemeckis' template for mentor characters who guide without preaching. His relationship with Humphrey Bogart's increasingly unstable Dobbs showed Zemeckis how wisdom and madness could coexist within the same narrative framework. The film's Mexican locations, using actual desert terrain and local communities, demonstrated how authentic environments could amplify rather than distract from psychological drama. Huston's direction never romanticized the prospecting process, showing the physical toll of manual labor and environmental hardship that drives men to desperate choices. Ted D. McCord's cinematography, using natural lighting and practical dust effects, taught Zemeckis how visual authenticity could support rather than compete with performance-based storytelling. The film's gradual revelation of character through behavior rather than exposition influenced every Zemeckis project, where audiences learn about protagonists through their actions under pressure. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre's exploration of American materialism, showing how gold fever corrupts even decent men, became Zemeckis' understanding of how adventure stories could comment on contemporary social issues without becoming preachy. Houston proved that the most effective moral lessons emerge from character consequences rather than authorial judgment. 2. North by Northwest, 1959. The architecture of suspense Hitchcock didn't make thrillers. He constructed anxiety engines. When Zemeckis encountered North by Northwest, he discovered his PhD in audience manipulation through technical precision.
Freshman, I got a Super 8mm camera that I could do one frame at a time.
Roger Thornhill's mistaken identity crisis, pursued across the country by spies who want him dead for crimes he didn't commit, became Zemeckis' template for ordinary protagonists thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Cary Grant's performance, maintaining elegant composure while facing increasingly absurd dangers, taught Zemeckis how leading men could acknowledge story absurdity without breaking dramatic tension. Thornhill's journey from advertising executive to reluctant hero demonstrated how character growth could happen through forced adaptation rather than conscious choice. The film's famous crop duster sequence, using practical effects and precise editing to create genuine suspense, showed Zemeckis how technical craft could generate emotional responses that lasted beyond immediate viewing. Hitchcock's use of iconic American locations, from the United Nations building to Mount Rushmore, influenced Zemeckis' approach to integrating spectacular settings into narrative progression. Bernard Herrmann's score, using orchestral punctuation to amplify rather than telegraph dramatic moments, became Zemeckis' understanding of how music could guide audience emotions without manipulating them obviously. North by Northwest proved that the most sophisticated entertainment acknowledges its own artificiality while maintaining complete emotional authenticity. 1. Citizen Kane, 1941. The Grammar of Innovation. Wells didn't make a biographical drama. He invented cinematic language. When Zemeckis first encountered Citizen Kane, he wasn't just watching a movie about newspaper publishing.
Yeah, that here's a guy who, does this amazing performance art and does this caper.
He was witnessing the birth of modern film technique. Charles Foster Kane's rise and fall, told through multiple perspectives and innovative visual methods, became Zemeckis' masterclass in how technical experimentation could serve emotional storytelling. Greg Toland's deep focus photography, keeping foreground and background equally sharp through revolutionary lighting techniques, taught Zemeckis how visual innovation could create narrative possibilities that didn't exist before. The famous breakfast montage, showing Kane's first marriage deteriorating through table settings and lighting changes, demonstrated how technical craft could compress years of character development into minutes of screen time. Robert Wise's editing, seamlessly integrating practical effects with performance-based scenes, demonstrated how post-production could serve rather than rescue storytelling problems identified during filming. Citizen Kane proved to Zemeckis that the most lasting innovations are those that solve specific creative problems rather than showcasing technique for its own sake. Zemeckis absorbed these masters' understanding that cinema's greatest magic trick isn't showing impossible things. It's making impossible things feel inevitable. 6 directors taught him how technical precision serves emotional truth, how innovative methods support rather than replace compelling characters. Every effect calculated to disappear into the story, every innovation designed to feel like natural evolution rather than artificial breakthrough. Zemeckis absorbed these masters' understanding that cinema's greatest magic trick isn't showing impossible things. It's making impossible things feel inevitable. 6 templates for believable miracles. Hit subscribe to explore how other directors engineered their own cinematic impossibilities.